Have you ever checked your bank account and seen a charge sitting there as pending, and then the next day it's completely gone? Yesterday it showed a $45 purchase. Today the charge disappeared, and your balance looks higher again. It almost feels like the money came back. So what actually happened? Did the bank reverse the charge? Did the store cancel it? Or is something happening behind the scenes that most people don't realize? Because the truth is, when you see a pending charge, the money hasn't actually left your account yet. And once you understand how this system works, you'll finally understand why your bank balance sometimes looks wrong. Let's start with something almost everyone has experienced. You go out to eat, and your bill is about $42. You pay with your debit card. Later you check your bank app and you see the charge listed as pending. Your available balance goes down and everything looks normal. But the next day, something strange happens. The pending charge disappears. Your balance suddenly jumps back up like the purchase never happened. And then a day or two later, the charge comes back and your balance drops again. A lot of people think this means the bank made a mistake or the merchant charged them twice. But what you're actually seeing is two completely different parts of the payment system happening at different times. Here's the simple explanation first. When you swipe your debit card, your bank temporarily sets aside money to make sure you can afford the purchase. That temporary hold is what shows up as a pending transaction. Your bank is basically saying, "We see this purchase coming, so we're reserving this money," but the merchant hasn't actually collected the money yet. Think of it like putting the money in a temporary holding area. Your available balance goes down so you don't accidentally spend the same money twice. But the money hasn't officially left your account yet. That's why the transaction says pending instead of posted. Now here's the part most people never see. When you swipe your debit card, two different processes happen behind the scenes. The first step is called authorization. The second step is called clearing and settlement. And these steps don't happen at the same time. During authorization, the merchant sends a request through the card network, asking if your bank will approve the purchase. Those card networks are usually Visa or MasterCard. The request travels from the merchant, through the card network, and then to your bank. Your bank checks your account balance. If there's enough money available, the bank sends back an approval. At that moment, your bank places a temporary hold on the funds. That hold is the pending transaction you see in your account. But the merchant still hasn't taken the money yet. They've only received permission to collect it later. And this is where the confusion starts. Authorization holds don't last forever. Most banks only keep authorization holds active for about 1 to 3 days. If the merchant hasn't finalized the transaction during that time, the bank releases the hold. When that happens, the pending charge disappears, and your balance increases again. But that doesn't mean the purchase was canceled. It just means the authorization expired, while the system was waiting for the merchant to finish processing the payment. Later, when the merchant finally submits the transaction for payment, the charge appears again. But this time, it shows up as a posted transaction instead of a pending one. So when it looks like a charge disappeared and then came back, you're really just seeing two different stages of the payment system. And this happens all the time in everyday purchases. Restaurants are a perfect example. When you pay your bill, the initial authorization might only include the amount before the tip. Later, when the restaurant closes out their transactions, they add the tip and submit the final charge. That final amount replaces the original authorization. Gas stations do something similar. When you swipe your card at the pump, the station doesn't know how much gas you're about to buy. So they place a large temporary hold on your account, sometimes $75 or even $100. After you finish pumping gas, the station submits the actual amount, and the final charge replaces the hold. Hotels and rental car companies often place even larger authorization holds to cover potential additional charges. Those holds can stay on your account for several days depending on how long it takes the merchant to finalize the transaction. And this leads to one of the most common banking mistakes people make. When a pending charge disappears, some people assume the purchase was canceled, so they spend that money again. But later, when the merchant submits the actual transaction, the charge posts to the account. If there isn't enough money left to cover it, the account can go negative. Not because the bank made a mistake, but because the authorization stage made it look like the money was available again. The reason this confuses so many people is that banking apps simplify everything. Most apps only show you your balance and your pending transactions. But behind the scenes, there are actually 3 stages happening in the payment system: authorization, clearing, and settlement. Authorization checks that funds are available and places the temporary hold. Clearing confirms the transaction details between the merchant and the banks. Settlement is when the money actually moves from one financial institution to another. That entire process can take several days depending on how the merchant processes payments. And during that time, your balance can change as authorization holds appear, expire, and final charges post. So the next time a pending charge disappears from your bank account, don't assume the money came back. Most of the time, it simply means the authorization hold expired while the system is waiting for the merchant to finalize the payment. Once you understand that, those strange balance changes suddenly make a lot more sense. But this raises a bigger question. If a simple debit card swipe triggers this entire system behind the scenes, how do debit card payments actually travel through the banking system from start to finish? Because the path your payment takes after you swipe your card is a lot more complicated than most people realize. And that's exactly what we're breaking down in the next video.